Hi there. Have you ever noticed your acoustic guitar doesn't sound like it used to? Well, this is because the strings lose their thick, rich, warm tone over time. This is due to all of the oils on our fingers, as well as the humidity in the air. An easy way to prevent string damage and extend the life of your strings is to use a cloth to wipe down the strings when you're done playing. Wiping down your strings will help remove some of the excess finger grime and build up on the guitar strings. If you want to get really fancy, you can even get a hygrometer, and that will measure the percentage of humidity in the air wherever you're storing your guitar. Even the best strings don't last forever and will get brittle or break over time. This is why I'm going to show you how to replace your acoustic guitar strings today. That way the next time you pick up your guitar, you aren't wincing in pain from playing brittle strings. Okay, so the materials we're going to need today are some acoustic guitar strings, whatever gauge strings you play. Next we're going to need a string winder. Then we'll need a string cutter, some guitar body polish, some Dunlop 65 lemon oil, and a few clean cloths. So you will also want some old towels or pillow, something to support the neck of the guitar so you're not fighting against it moving everywhere once you're trying to take the strings off. So next we'll go ahead and remove the old strings here. Grab the string winder here, and I always start with the low E string here, and you just go clockwise through E, A, and D strings, and you want to wind them down all the way. So the way you get the old string out of the tuning peg is you just kind of wind it down as much as you can, and then you just uncoil it from the tuning peg, and you take the top of the string end out of the tuning peg hole. And my guitar does not have any bridge pins. If your guitar does have bridge pins, which saddle the strings down to this wooden part here called the bridge, then you would need to remove the bridge pins using this knob right here in the string winder. My acoustic guitar does not have any bridge pins, so I don't need to worry about that. And I'm gonna finish removing the rest of these strings here, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so I have all the strings removed here, and so next we're gonna go ahead and grab the Dunlop lemon oil, and this stuff is sweet because it just has an eraser, and you just apply it by lightly rubbing it on the fretboard in between each one of the frets. And this is to keep the unfinished wood on the fretboard from drying out. So we're going to go ahead and do this all along up and down the neck, and then let it sit on there for a few minutes before wiping it away. Alright, so something you can do while that lemon oil is kind of soaking into your fretboard. So we'll take our guitar body polish and our polishing cloth, and you just do a few drops onto the polishing cloth, and then we can clean the front of the body. You want to make sure you get all around the sound hole because dust tends to build up there. And get the entire body of the guitar. Get some more polish on there. You can go along the sides and the back here. Now, if your guitar has a glossy finished neck, unlike this one, you can also use the body polish and the cloth to kind of shine up your glossy neck. I won't be doing that since my guitar does not have a glossy neck. Okay, so then we'll just take the polishing cloth and wipe down the fretboard pretty thoroughly to get any gunk or grime off of it. Alright, next we'll want to take our new set of strings here, and I always start with the thinnest gauge string first. So for me it would be the 11 gauge string. This is your high E string. So you just want to unwind the string here. Careful not to poke yourself. I've done it. And this is where, if you had a guitar with bridge pins, you would use the bridge pins to seat the string end here into the bridge, but we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I've got the high E string here seated through the correct slot in the bridge, and then up onto the correct position on the nut here. Now what you want to do is you want to try and use the thumb of whatever hand is going to hold the string, and you just kind of wrap it around in a circle around the tuning peg. You can do it once or twice. And then we will take the top of the string here, and there's a little hole in the tuning peg. that you feed the top of the string through, and you want to pull the string in the same direction that you wrapped it around the tuning peg. Then you pull that pretty tight. So we'll go ahead and take the string winder here and make sure you're tightening the string. So you'd be going counterclockwise for the high E string through the B and the G string. So I'm going to go ahead and put the B and the G strings on, and let's see, so we got 15 gauge or B string, feed it through the bottom of the bridge, and the top of the bottom of the string. And you just want to make sure strings are seated in the bridge properly. If you have bridge pins and you're seating your strings in the bridge, then chances are those pins are probably going to come up when you start winding the strings. That's fine. All you have to do is just hold your thumb on the bridge pin so it doesn't move around any more than it is. So just like our first string here, we'll hold it with our available thumb, wrap it around in a circle once around the tuning peg, and then we want to make sure we're feeding the string through the inside of the tuning peg to the outside in the same direction that we pulled the string around the tuning peg. And then you just want to make sure you have all of that slack tightened up. Make sure it's going to set properly in the nut. Go ahead and wind the string. Alright, so there's the B string done. Next I'm going to do the G string. Leave the top right through the bottom hole of the bridge. Line it up in the correct nut slot. Same thing as before, we use our thumb and our available hand to hold down the string once we wrap it around the tuning peg. And we get the top of the string to thread through. Get all that slack tightened up, That way you don't have any bends in your strings that you don't want. Get it reseated on the nut before you start winding the string. So we have our G string on now. Alright, so now we're at the D string on the other side of the headstock here. So it's going to go in here. Sorry for that noise. Line it up at the correct nut slot. Now for this side, we'll wrap the string around the inside of the tuning peg, just like normal. And go ahead and fit the top of the string through the tuning peg hole right here on this side. So you want to make sure you're feeding the top of the string through the inside of the tuning peg hole always. Otherwise, your strings aren't going to be having too much fun, and you'll probably break them. So for winding the D string, you'll go counterclockwise on the other side here. And we aren't winding these strings up to pitch just yet. I will do that in a minute here. So now we're on to the A string. Apologize for that noise. Make sure it's seated properly in the nut. Go through the inside hole of the tuning peg for the A string. I'll wind it up here. We'll get our last string on, the low E. Sometimes the trickiest part can be just unfurling the strings. Top the string through that bridge hole again, all the way through. Looks like it's kind of stuck here, so I gotta readjust it. I've never changed the strings on this guitar before, so it might be why it's being a little stubborn. But so we get it up here at the top in the first nut slot, and then all the way fed through around the tuning peg, sometimes on an acoustic, the low E string is the tricky one because it is the thickest to get through the tuning peg hole. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just try winding it. And there you go, a very auto-tuned guitar with brand new strings. I'm going to go ahead and wind these strings up to the correct pitch. I have a guitar tuner for that. You can use an app on your phone too. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut these string ends off here. And I'm going to make quite sure not to damage any of the strings. You want to make sure you have a designated string cutter too. Don't use scissors because you'll ruin the scissors. You probably won't cut the strings. Sometimes this high E string here, the thinnest string, can be kind of a pain. There we go. Alright, and then your old strings and the string ends here you can put in a bag and recycle them. We're all done here. I've just got to go ahead and tune the guitar up, and I won't put you guys through that. So this has been how to restring an acoustic guitar. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.